So let's talk about some of the things I love, some of the things I like, and some of the things that I don't like as much. So let's start off with the bad, because I feel like, it's always good to start that way, and then, you spruce it up from there. The bad about this camera, honestly, are really its limitations as far as, I guess I really should say, how far you want to push it. If you're looking to, shoot in an ungodly resolution, 4K, 6K, whatever, you're obviously not going to get that with this camera. With the BlackMagic Cinema Camera 2.5K and its body type, the highest you can go is actually 4K. So if you're looking to shoot in something higher resolution, this camera's not for you. One of the biggest issues I found with the camera itself is it does not do well with direct light. So this model, in instance, and they may have fixed it in the 4K, I haven't gotten my hands on it yet, but for instance, if you're dealing with a direct shot to the sun, I've had a few films where I've needed to get the sun in the shot, or a flashlight was aimed directly. I'll show you an example here. And the camera just can't quite process that much light. So a direct light source is an example. This even happens on a cell phone light aimed towards the camera, which I was able to fix, and I'll show you that here. That pretty much, is the biggest thing that I think most cinema cameras can handle. Even your iPhone can handle the sunlight. We're talking apples and oranges, I know, but it is a downside to this camera. It does stink that, I like to shoot horror films and scenes at night. So it is unfortunate that it can't handle a flashlight or anything super bright coming at you in isolation. Now, it can be fixed. So this example here with the cell phone flashlight aimed right at the camera, there was a black dot, and all I did in Premiere actually was I tracked the light and I just blurred it. Another way I fixed it is I have gone in before and just patched it with another section of the light so you can't see it anymore. It's a lot of work, it's super extensive. It would be nice to not have to do it, but with a camera this old and how much power this thing has in itself, it's a small price to pay. I'm just kind of screwed when it comes to beautiful sunrise or sunset shots, but that's okay. Another downside to it, I guess, if you're using this camera, you're probably on the indie market, so you're trying to run and gun a lot, you're trying to do all kinds of different things. The downside to the camera is how heavy it can be, especially with these newer cameras coming out, Blackmagic Pocket, all those cameras, Canons, everything's getting lighter. So even your iPhone, I mean, come on, you can take that thing and aim it wherever you want to, and it's good to go. For this camera, it is pretty heavy. It takes its toll on you over time. I've used Steadicam with it. I've put it on a jib before, a crane, but we're talking like the newer cranes and all of that stuff, not the high-end, big studio film cranes that they're using, or jibs or anything like that. So, I'm putting this on like little fiberglass flimsy rods, and it makes them bend a little bit. So the camera itself is heavy. They have made lighter ones over time. So just be aware if you're going to be using this for long periods of time, especially Steadicam on your shoulder, it will hurt. It's nothing like, throwing the old school Reds or an Alexa on your shoulder or anything like that. Those cameramen, by the way, the camera operators who do that are freaking amazing, because I had an Alexa on my shoulder just to try it on one film, and I thought I was going to break in half. So weight, not being able to shoot directly into sunlight, it's not the best in low light. If you shoot in too dark of circumstances, it will show, it will get grainy, and you're not going to be able to recover that footage. You have to make sure whatever you're shooting at night is well lit, either the area or the exact object that you're shooting has got to be well lit. This camera just can't handle that. The highest ISO it goes is 800, so that's fully opened, aperture fully opened. It's still not great in the nighttime. That doesn't mean don't use it. I mean, I've shot a couple horror films, and you light it well enough to where it works, and it's going to get you what you need. You just have to be aware of lighting. You have to be aware of I always say throw in too much light and bring it down later, because you'd rather have it that way and have to pull it down than it be the reverse, not enough. You're never going to get that light back. So just make sure you overlight in nighttime scenes. I would recommend, get your aperture and everything set correctly, but you also want to make sure you have enough light to power through that nighttime grain that you'll get if it's not lit well enough. Other than that, I can't think of many bad things about this camera. I absolutely love it. I think this camera is a bang for the buck. It is form factor. I mean, they make cages. This has been out long enough now. You can get cages, handles. I have this sitting, as you see here, I have it sitting on the rails. You know, it works for everything you need it to. You can get an articulating arm and run a SDI cable to it, so you can have that external monitor. You know, one other con I should have mentioned is the audio. The camera audio is just not great. But I was told by someone in the comments actually that there are ways to hook different sound systems up to this camera so that the sound going into the camera is way better. And let me tell you what, you can figure that out, and you've done it, and that makes this camera all the more worth the bang for the buck. The different options to shoot in are definitely a bonus. Like I talked about, 2.5K RAW is just so crisp and clean. And what's great about it is when you shoot in 2.5K, do all your post-production adjustments and grading, and then what you do is you export it in like 1080p, and the sharpness is just so clean because you're compressing that 2.5K into a 1080p video. So, you know, the sharpness, it just compresses everything and makes it a little bit more sharper. I mean, are you really going to notice? Probably not, but a nerd like me would. Also, it's a Canon EF mount, so all of your Canon lenses are going to work. They are personally my favorite, easiest to use. You know, give you the most crop size as far as what's coming into the lens. You know, versus Micro Four Thirds, you're just getting the crop factors just very different. Feels different, shoots different. So I'm a big fan of Canon. I love that this uses Canon EF mount lenses. And then the way you can rig it up is really key. So you just get yourself a follow focus, and you can really go to town with this thing. And then I know out there are certainly wireless follow focuses. So you can have one person operating this camera, another person doing follow focus, and a monitor for both of you just off this, you know, whatever it is, 2012 camera. It does really everything you would need in an indie film setting. We're going to go more into my setup in another video. I'm going to show you kind of the breakdown of my 2.5K and how I use it, how I've shot with it. But this thing really is a beast. I absolutely love it. So I think the pros way outweigh the cons. I think if you're looking for something to just make a movie, go for this because it really truly is a gem. And it will help you get your movie made and give you that look and feel that you really, really want from it. Thanks guys, that's my video. On the next one we will look at my setup, and I will see you on the next video.